Good day, ma'am. I am James Howard Saldia from BSHM 3A, and today I will discuss about the chapter 13, labor law. So our topic outline for today are constitutional provision on labor, classification of employees, benefits, privilege, policies affecting employees, laws against discrimination. So our learning objective for today are enumerate the classification of employees, their benefits, privilege, and policies affecting them. Identify some best practices in handling human resources in tourism establishments. Identify the procedure in handling sexual harassment in the workplace. Explain the rights of the workers employed in a tourism establishments. Constitutional provisions on labor, the law. Section 3, the statement shall afford full protection to labor, local or overseas, organized and unorganized, and promote full employment and equality of employment opportunities for all. Section 14, the state shall protect working women by providing safe and healthful working conditions, taking into account their material functions and such facilities, and it does sanities with the enhance their welfare and enable them to realize their full potential in the service of the nation. Section 15, the state shall represent the role of independent people organization to enable the people to pursue and protect within the democratic framework their legitimate and collective interests and aspirations through peaceful and lawful means. Section 16, the right of people and their organization to effectively and reasonably participate at all levels of social, political, and economic decision making, such not abrogate. The state shall be a law facilitate the establishment and adequate consultation mechanisms. Classifications of employees. Employees of the company may be classified as follows: regular employees, casual employees, seasonal employees, project employees, provisionary employees for the fixed term overseas Filipino workers, special workers, apprentice, learners, handicapped workers. Regular employees. The employees who are deemed regular are those who have been engaged to perform activities which are as usual necessary or desirable in the usual trade or business of the employer, and the casual employees who have rendered at least 1 year of service, whether such a service is continuous or broken, with respect to the activity in which they are employed. An employed who is allowed to work after probationary period. Workers supplied by a labor-only contractor to the principal should be considered regular employees of the latter. Casual employees. Casual employees are those whose employment is neither regular, project, nor seasonal as defined under Article 280 of the Labor Code. There is casual employment where an employee is engaged to perform a job, work, or service which merely incidental to the business of the employer, and such job, work, or service is the definite work period made known to the employee at the time of the engagement, provided that any employee who has rendered at least 1 year of service, whether such service is continuous or not, should be considered a regular employee with respect to activity with which is employed, and his employment should continue while such activity exists. Seasonal employees. Seasonal employees are those whose work or services is seasonal in the nature and the employment is for the duration of the season. Regular seasonal employees are those called to work from time to time. The nature of their relationship with the employers is such that during off season they are temporarily laid off, but during summer season they are re-employed or when their service may be needed. They are not, strictly speaking, separated from the service, but merely considered as an on leave of absence without pay until they are re-employed. Their employment relationship is never severed, but only suspended. As such, those employees can be considered as in a regular employment of the employer. Eh, In effect, these seasonal regular employees enjoy security to tenure and cannot be dismissed without the just cause. Project employees. A project employee is one of the most employment has been fixed for a specific project or undertaking competition or termination which has been determined determined at the time of the engagement of the employee with where the work of service to be performed is seasonal in nature, whether the employee is a project employee or a regular employee is whether the project and the employment is the duration of the season. The principal test for the determining employee was assigned to carry out a specific project or undertaking, the duration and scope of which were specified at the time an employee was engaged for that project. Failure of the employer to file termination reports after every project completion with the nearest public employment office is an indication that an employee was not and is not a project employee. Probationary employees. A probationary employee is one who is on trial an employer during which the employer determines whether or not is qualified for permanent employment. Probationary employment should not exist 6 months from the date the employee started working. In all cases of probationary employment, the employer should make known to employee the standard which he will qualify as a regular employee at the time of his engagement. Where no standards are made known to the employee at the time he will name a regular employee. Employees for fixed terms. These are employees covered in the employment contracts providing for a term employment or fixed period employment. Stipulation providing for a fixed period employment are valid when the period agreed upon has been knowingly and voluntarily agreed by the parties without a force, duress, or improper pressure exerted on the employee, and when such stipulations were not designed to circumvent the law of security on tenure. Overseas Filipino workers, also referred as a migrant worker, or overseas Filipino workers refers to a person who is engaged or has been engaged on a remunerated remunerated activity in the state of which he or she not legal resident. A person to be engaged in a remunerated activity refers to applicant workers who has been promised or reassured employment overseas and acting on such promise or reassurance statement damage and injury. The laws which govern overseas employment is Republic Act 8042 or the Migrant Workers and Overseas Filipino Acts of 1995. Benefits privilege policies affecting employees, minimum wage, by virtue of Republic Act number 6727, which Wage Rationalization Act, the determination of minimum wage rates are now within the functions of the Regional Tripartite Productivity Board. The concept of minimum wage means that setting a floor wage of the upgrade existing wage. Minimum wage is underlines the efforts of the state to promote productivity, improvement, and gain sharing measures to ensure a decent standard of living for the workers and their families, to affirm labor as a primary social economic force. Collective bargaining. This means conferring prominently and in good faith for negotiating agreement with the respect to wage, hours of works, etc., and entering into a written contract called collective bargaining agreement or CBA, adjustment of grievance, etc. The provision commonly found in collective bargaining agreements are: first, enumeration or reservation of management rights. Second, union recognition and security. Third, wage and fringe benefits under administration. Fourth, physical working conditions. Fifth, selected personnel management and planned operation practices. Six, grievance and arbitration. Seven, duration of contracts. Labor Management Council. Under Article 255 of the Labor Code, it reserves the right of individual employee or group of employees to prevent grievance to their employer at any time, with or without collective bargaining, with or without exclusive bargaining representative. The Department of Labor and Employment promotes the formation of labor management councils in organized or unorganized establishments. An LMC, either a council or committee, can serve as a forum where the management and employees may air their concerns. Short of collective bargaining, it is largely a communication mechanism which includes preventions or resolutions of disputes, harnessed to the fullest and given sincerity, confidence, and maturity of both sides. IC can effectively secure industrial peace provided it maintains its integrity. In fact, an EMC can be so effective it can be a labor union and necessary labor management councils required that employee representatives should be selected by employees, not handpicked by the management. Maternity and paternity leaves. Maternity leave benefits are covered under Republic Act number 8282, May 1, 1997, also known as the Social Security Act of 1997. Under said law, a female member who has paid at least 3 monthly contribution in the 12-month period immediately preceding the semester of childbirth or miscarriage should be paid a daily maternity benefit equivalent to 100% of her average daily salary, credit for 60 days or 78 days in case of cesarean delivery. Union rights, strikes, and lockouts are legitimate labor organizations as the requisite personality to sue on behalf of its member for their individual money claims for the purpose of collective bargaining. Legitimate labor and must be certified as an exclusive bargaining agent who won a certification of election. Service charges. The role of service charge applies only in establishment collecting service charges such as hotel, restaurants, lodgings, houses, nights clubs, cocktail lounge, massage clinics, bars, casinos, gambling houses, and similar enterprises, including those entities operating primarily as a private subsidiaries of the government. All service charges collected by the hotel, restaurants, and similar establishments should be distributed at the rate of 85% for all covered employees and 15% for management. The share of employees should be equally distributed among them. The 15% should be a disposition by management to answer for losses and breakage of distribution to managerial employees at the discretion of management in the later case. Employment contracts. An employment contract is that a virtue which one person binds himself with respect to another employers, to another at the place, at the service of latter his own efforts in work, and the latter term agreement pay him compensation, promotion at the time, or the quantity of work done. Death benefits under the Social Security law upon the death of member who has paid at least 36 monthly contribution prior to the semester of death. His primary beneficiary shall be entitled to monthly pension, provided that if he has no primary beneficiary, his secondary beneficiary shall be entitled to a lump sum benefit equivalent to 36 times the monthly pension. If he has not paid required 36 monthly contribution, his primary and secondary beneficiary shall be entitled to a lump sum benefit equivalent to the monthly pension times the number of monthly contribution paid to the 555 or 12 times monthly pension, whichever is higher. A funeral grant equivalent to 12,000 shall be paid in cash or in kind to help defray to the cost of funeral expenses upon the death of a member, including permanently total disabled member or retired. Health benefits. This includes sickness, medical, and hospitalization benefits under the Social Security law. A member who has paid at least 3 monthly contribution in the 12-month period immediately preceding the semester of sickness or injury and is confirmed more than 3 days in hospitals of elsewhere and with the approval of the SSS should be paid a daily sickness benefit of equivalent of 90% of average daily salary credit. Drug testing under Republic Act number 1965, June 7, 2002, also known as a Comprehensive Dangerous Drug Act of 2002. Drug testing should be done by any government forensic laboratories or by any of the drug testing laboratories accredited and monitored by the Department of Health. To safeguard the quality of test results, drug test certificates issued by accredited drug test centers should be valid for 1 year period from the date of issue, which may be caused for other purposes. Retirement under Article 287 of the Labor Code, as amended by Republic Act number 7641, also known as the New Retirement Law. Any employee may be retired upon reaching the retirement age establishment a collective bargaining agreement or applicable employment contracts. In the absence of the retirement plans or agreement providing the retirement benefits of the employees in the establishments, an employee upon reaching the age of 60 years or more, but not beyond 65 years, which is hereby declared the compulsory retirement age, who has served at least 5 years in the said establishment, may retire and shall be entitled to a retirement may pay equivalent to at least half-month salary every year of service, a fraction of the at least 6 months being considered as one whole year. Uniform policies. Some tourism establishments, which include but not limited to restaurants, department stores, rest areas, in gasoline station, deluxe and first-class hotels, tourist inns, special interest resorts, apartments, motels, and those engaged in water transport vehicle services required their employees and staff to be well-groomed and should be wear clean and smart uniforms. Uniform policy in the establishments are prescribed requirement in the order accredited by the Department of Tourism. SSS, PhilHealth Employees Compensation Commission, and Pag-ibig. Employees in the private sector are covered under the SSS law, wherein the mission is to promote and perfect a sound of viable tax-exempt social security system suitable to the needs of the people, which should provide meaningful protection to members and their beneficiary against hazard of disability, sickness, maternity, old age, death, and other contingencies resulting in a loss of income financial burden. Termination of employment. It is the constitutional rights of the workers to security of tenure and their right to do are protected against dismissal exempt for a just authorized cause of the without prejudice to the requirement of notice under Article 283 of the Labor Code. Due the process of in termination disputes is the heart of security of tenure and it's personal to the employee. Law against discrimination. The law. Article 3 Declaration of Basic Policy. The state should afford protection to labor, promote full employment, ensure equal work opportunities, regardless of sex, race, and creed, and regulate the relationship between the workers and employers. Employment of women. It is the policy of the state to protect the working woman by providing safe and healthful working conditions, taking into account their material functions and such facilities and opportunities that will enhance their welfare and enable them to realize their full potential in the service of the nation. Sexual harassment in the workplace under Republic Act number 7877, also known as the Sexual Harassment Act of 1995. Sexual harassment is committed by an employer, employee, manager, supervisor, agent of the employee, manager, supervisor, agent of the employee, or any other person who having authority, influence, or moral ascendancy over another in the work environment, demands, requests, or otherwise requires any sexual favor from the others, regardless of whether the demand, request for requirement for submission is accepted or not. Base labor practices in tourism establishments. This topic has been added to enable the readers to appreciate the best labor practices of selective tourism establishment from the lodging industry, travel agency, tour operators, transportation companies, food service industry, and tourist sites. It will be noted that 90% of the selected respondents agree that it is imperative to have a proactive and supportive human resources department, which will be instrumental in enhancing the welfare of employees and helping the company towards its growth in investment. An open door policy with the president of general manager of the company is most welcome, as it has proven to be a most effective means of removing the barriers of communication and enhancing a shared responsibility of nationhood between the capital and labor.